So I watched the new Punisher One Last Kill special, and I'm gonna put my thoughts in the video. So spoilers if you haven't seen it. It's about an hour long, 51 minutes or so. I'd argue that's too short for what they had going on. But spoilers, click off now if you don't want to know anything. But here's my thoughts on it. So basically, takes place after Daredevil Born Again, and it shows, I want to say Queens or Brooklyn or something. I don't know. It's New York, indistinguishable New York, and Punisher is, Frank Castle's living on his own, and he's basically dealing with his PTSD again. He's dealing with the trauma again. It feels like we're reheating old leftovers with this special. Now, that doesn't mean that it was complete and total trash, but I will say conceptually, the idea of not putting, we had the Punisher logo at the very end of the episode, but not putting Frank Castle in his costume to be the Punisher was an injustice, because as much as I love John Bernthal, I really do, and I think he was great as the Punisher in Daredevil Season 2, and even in Season 1 of the Punisher Netflix show. Frank Castle is not a dumb, traumatized animal, which is kind of what this special made him out to be, right? For the first 20 minutes, he's dealing with his trauma, which is like every episode of the Punisher TV show. It's like, we don't need that. 5 minutes is fine of him talking to the ghosts of his past. That's fine. But doing it for 20 minutes straight before the plot gets going, it was almost unbearable to watch. I was like, is this going to be the whole show? Because after about 20 minutes, it starts to pick up a little bit. And so, I want to say the Guamos, I can't remember the name. The crime family, the Italian crime family that he was seeking revenge for, which would have been a better special to watch him kill that crime family. They were responsible for killing his family, or one of the people responsible for killing his family. So the premise of this show is Frank, as Punisher, going out and hunting down those family members each one by one and wiping out that entire Italian crime family, leaving one woman behind, the matriarch, the mother, who was paralyzed from the experience, left with one security guard. And so essentially, because of that moment, she was alive, and she said, you should have killed me too, because now I put a bounty on your head, and all these criminals around New York are about to hunt you down John Wick style. I was like, okay, I fuck with that. I like that shit. That's great Punisher material right there. But that's 20 minutes into the special. That was before the good stuff, or that's when all the good stuff started happening. The 20 minutes that preceded it was Frank Castle screaming, having hallucinations about people from his past, trauma and all this stuff. He just kind of grunts like a dumb animal when civilians see him and walk by. There's a moment that particularly pisses me off, which was when Frank is coming out of a, I want to say coffee shop or something. He's wearing his hood and he's just walking down New York, and there's all this crime. There's pimps slapping hoes. There's a bunch of fent up zombies going around hitting people with sticks. They're tripping out. Crime is happening. Whenever a cop car shows up, they start throwing Molotovs at it. A bunch of riots and shit. The place is so unlawly that you think that the purge was happening at that point. You think that the purge was literally happening. And so Frank is just walking straight forward and doesn't see anybody around him. Sounds all great and well at first, but then later you find out that the reason he's so zoned in is because he's killed the entire Italian crime family. He has no reason to live now. He's questioning his purpose. He's like, I don't have anything to live for anymore. I killed everybody. It's like, bro, you could turn your head right now, any degree, any direction, and find a bunch of scumbags to pick up a rifle for and bust down. That shit pissed me off so much. And I was like, is this what the show is going to be about? Is him being like, I have no purpose anymore because I killed the people that killed my family. The Punisher, traditionally speaking, comics, early movies, what made the Punisher appealing, and this is why Marvel fucking hates him now. This is why the current day Marvel hates the Punisher. That's why their fans hate the Punisher. And that's why the people entirely on the left hate the Punisher. It's not because of the military. It's not because of cops taking his logo. No, it's because the fundamental character that is Frank Castle as the Punisher, they hate the idea of it. Because criminals aren't criminals, guys. They're victims of the system. They don't deserve to be punished. They deserve to be rehabilitated. And not in a Daredevil sense. Not in a, oh, they get a second chance to rehabilitate themselves like in Oz or something. No. It's just let those fuckers out on the street so they can stab people again. That's what it is, because we don't want to be racist now. We don't want to be racist by putting them in jail and swelling up the jail system. No. People like Frank Castle, people like the Punisher, put an end to that shit. Conceptually, that was the point of the Punisher. His crime killed his family after he got home from Vietnam, Iraq, depending on whichever run you go with. He comes back from overseas from a war, and his family gets killed by crime. He doesn't stop at the crime family that killed his family. He doesn't stop at the people that killed his family. He goes after all criminals because he sees all criminals as unjust. He sees them all as people that need to be put down. Rabid dogs that he needs to put down. That's his mission. His sole focus is the mission to wipe out crime, no matter the cost. Because crime is what killed his family. Not any particular crime family, not any particular criminal. Crime is what killed his family. And so as a result, he takes out his aggression on criminals with no due process. That's what made him so interesting in the Daredevil series, the Netflix one. Is that he was like, all criminals deserve to be punished, and Daredevil was like, not every criminal is bad. Some of them just have been dealt a hard hand. And it was an intriguing back and forth of philosophy. Back when writers were smart. Back when people were talented. This Punisher just grunts like Frankenstein's monster, pun intended. It just goes, whenever somebody tries to break in and kill him. And so the nuance of the character, it's not even Frank Castle anymore. You could say it's going in depth into the psychology of the military PTSD Marine Frank Castle, but it doesn't make him the Punisher. They don't even try to make him the Punisher until the end of the episode, and even then it's like, okay, he's only going after fucking white criminals because they're trying to send a message about that. He'll help homeless people fight off criminals, but only if they're white. Hey, I didn't write that shit. They wrote that shit. And so, as a result, you have John Bernthal grunting for the first 20 minutes and grunting for most of the TV episode or whatever special. But Punisher, Frank Castle, he sees all criminals and all crime as a mission to wipe it all out. So the fact that he was walking down the street with all this shit happening around him and having no purpose whatsoever, no desire to wipe out all those people, that's assassination of the character to me. Now, everything after that point, when it goes all John Wick and all the rioters start attacking him and he starts fighting back and killing them in brutal and fun ways, okay, I was fucking with that. I like that. I like it in isolation. And the fact that he saves people, also things that I like. He saved a little girl because it reminded him of his daughter. He saves the coffee shop owner from rioters. So small, subtle things that I liked, but ultimately the story is like, after the bounty gets put on his head, he kills a bunch of people. The crime family matriarch gets away, and we don't even talk about her anymore. She's just gone. She gets away. Punisher Frank goes after the family to save the family than go after her and kill her, which when she approached him early on in the special to warn him about the bounty, he should have just snapped her neck right there. But he was too broken down and sad to do it. But he should have just done it. And so she gets away. We don't address the bounty anymore. And apparently after that whole scene where he saves the family, all the rioters just stop. All the people looting and criming out and fiending out, they all just stop. Because Frank dons on the skull and goes after one white guy. So it ends kind of sloppily. Like the middle chunk is good. Should have been extended out longer so that they could explain some of these things and have hour 15 minutes would have been great. But It was just to get out something with the Punisher because they needed to milk that character for as much as he was worth, because they know that he's popular and they know that he's easy to do. It's hard not to it's hard to fuck up the Punisher, but somehow they can't make Blade for worth of shit. Even though we had 3 Blade movies 20 years ago, it's impossible for them to make it now. Same thing with the Punisher. They don't know how to make the Punisher without making him gay, so they can only put an hour-long special out for him and barely do him right. So congrats on them making it barely right, but still the idea of the Punisher having no purpose after killing the crime family and walking past all this crime, unacceptable. Unacceptable. But other than that, the action scenes were pretty dope. But that's the biggest compliment I can give it. But let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all in another video very soon.